From Inwood, New York City, welcome to Inwood Art Works On Air. It's where we meet the musicians, filmmakers, writers, theater makers, and artists of all stripes who make their home what we affectionately call Upstate Manhattan. I'm your host, Aaron Sims, and this is Live and Local. It's our podcast dedicated to showcasing the musicians of Upper Manhattan. We talk to them about what they do best, and best of all, hear them perform live right here in one of our favorite venues. Today we're at Holy Trinity Church in Inwood. We're excited to speak with singer Lars Woodul and composer David Wolfson. Lars has performed as a soloist in professional opera and concerts in the U.S. and abroad, specializing in 20th century repertoire. He created roles for premieres with New York Center for Contemporary Opera, including The Secret Agent and Enemies, a Love Story, Mark Blissenstein's Sacco and Vanzetti, and Seymour Barab's License to Marry at the York Theater. On the New York concert stage, he has appeared with the Manhattan Chamber Orchestra, Lincoln Center's Meet the Artist series, and many others. David Wolfson holds a PhD in composition from Rutgers and has taught at Rutgers, Montclair State, Hunter College, and Penn State. He's composed for opera, musical theater, toured children's musicals, and incidental music for plays, choral music, band music, orchestral music, chamber music, art songs, and music for solo piano, comedy songs, and many others. His Fortune's Children was probably the first opera to be performed live over Zoom, and his sequels, Changing Fortunes and Family Fortunes, make up, almost certainly, the first serialized opera. His CD, 17 Windows, is available from Albany Records, iTunes, and Amazon. We are thrilled to have them here right now to perform live for you today. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy Lars Woodul and David Wolfson.
Château neuf, ce nouvel édifice, tout enrichi de marbre et de porphyre, qu'amour bâtit château de son empire, où tout le ciel a mis son artifice. Un fort contre le vice, où la vertu maîtresse se retire, que regarder que l'esprit admire, forçant les cœurs à lui faire service. C'est un château fait de telle sorte que nul ne peut approcher de la porte. Si des grands rois il nassau de sa race. Victorieux, vaillant et amoureux, nul chevalier tant soit aventureux sans être tel ne peut gagner la place. Proche et toujours lointaine, étoile de mille longs chemins, le vent m'apporte son haleine quand il passe sur les jasmins. journée, si je ne vois ma Dulcinea.
Gentlemen, that was wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
Great to be here with you, Aaron.
You betcha. Well, I appreciate making the time. Can you tell us, please, what you just performed for us?
That was two songs that from Jacques Ibert's song cycle, Don Quixote, and these were both adapted by my colleague, David, and he did that when I called him up with an idea some months ago about adapting them for this project that we're working on. It's called Lyricycles.
Tell us more about Lyricycles.
So an idea flew into my head one day, and basically I had this body of art song repertoire, which most people know as a singer standing in front of a piano pretty much all the time, and that's about it. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice if we could take these and convert them into theater pieces? And problem is, there's only one person singing in an art song, so I had the idea that all these other characters that are present in the poetry of these songs could be played by dancers and mimes. So that was the idea, and David said, sure, we'll give it a whack. So we did this. The first song cycle was the Don Quixote, otherwise known as Don Quixote in Spanish, and which has already got a wonderful literary background, so it's got a great story behind it, and it's just ripe for sort of a theatrical treatment.
David, what made you say yes to coming onto this project? Is it just like you hear Lars just talking and he entrances you and like, sure, why not?
Lars caught me at a very good time in my personal journey. I had just come off a year teaching at Penn State and had gotten back to New York and was looking around for things to do. I like Lars. I have worked with Lars before, and frankly, this is intriguing. And what he had asked me to do specifically was to, as he put it, open up these song cycles, because not only are they written for one singer, but they're not written to have dramatic action as part of them. So he said these need more time in them. So what he actually asked me to do was to look at these songs and add time for staging, for action, but make them still seem as though they were part of the same piece. Now that's, sort of an amazing little technical challenge for a composer. How do you write, interpolate extra music and still make it sound like it was written by the same composer?
And very well done, too, because it's no small challenge. I think it required, and thank God that David had a lot of experience writing stage music. So, and one of his own works that we're doing as well is a monodrama that is like perfect for this project called Daphne.
Right. You mentioned something, Lars, earlier about all the different components, and I wanted to just revisit that to give an idea of when you say opening it up to theatrical staging is what you meant before, right? Because a song cycle is not. Yes, it's just. You're right. It's a person, but you have much larger vision for this, right? So, can you share with our listeners what the fully realized production might look like, what you're heading towards, and what other pieces of the puzzle are you looking to add?
Sure. So that's like the elevator speech that I've tried to work out.
You have 2 minutes. Go.
Right. So
before I get to the 15th floor.
And you've got this. Basically, it is modern dance and ballet combined with solo singing of various stripes, various styles, and supported in a visual environment with projections, video projections, to help tell the story, also to help for things in a foreign language like what we just did in French. We will have subtitles or supertitles, as they're known, so that people can follow a little bit better. I think, though, that when you've got a character that the singer is interacting with on the stage, who is a dancer, and with their own symbolic and physical language, providing that other character and interacting with the singer, it creates a very different kind of experience. Yeah. Because it's not just the music, it's not just the singing, it's also the dance. And we've got a visual component to the stage environment as well, so that I think it brings up something that, while beautiful, doesn't really have that sort of relief to it, bass relief, that makes it more three-dimensional.
More contextualizes the music, right?
And we are also, of course, there's going to be stage lighting for it, which you don't find in a recital, and we're also talking about, rather than just piano, having a small orchestra, a small pit band.
No small feat having a small orchestra either.
Yeah, right. So that's that is all still on the planning board.
Thank you, David. That's right, and that was one of the first things. In fact, I was so far ahead of myself when I first talked to him about this. I said, "Oh yeah, and we're going to have a chamber ensemble. And what kind of instruments do you think you would like to have?" And
the reason why I brought that up kind of earlier on in the conversation is because when traditionally when people hear art song cycles or song cycles, and then you hear art song cycles, you're like, okay, what am I getting myself into? Is it a park and bark concert where it's just, a stand and deliver kind of thing, and you're going to have to bring it all into your own brain and let the music just speak and be interpreted on its own right. And that's why I thought it was very interesting when Lars and I spoke about this originally a while ago, is that there's a lot of painting going on, a lot of themes looking to be explored and laid out through, you said earlier, mime and dance and, of course, song and arrangements of different instruments and how those instruments can tell the story, right?
Absolutely. But one of the most interesting things to me, is obviously true in the Don Quixote cycle, in which he's talking to Sancho Panza, he's talking to Dulcinea, that having these other people on stage is going to open up a whole other avenue for expression. And in the piece that I wrote that Lars is looking at as well, Daphne, she's speaking to an unnamed audience, a person who is bothering her as a tree. And so, at this point, we have someone to be that person. We have someone to be Apollo chasing her. We have someone to be her father, the river. So all of these are, just the difference, as you say, between having the audience having to construct it all for themselves and being able to supply and shape it for them is what is most intriguing to me about this.
Yeah. Was there a particular challenge of this particular piece, David, versus the operetta and the other compositions you've done? Is there a particular challenge that you find, exhilarating and or mind-bending about this whole experience?
Well, certainly I had never been asked to do something quite like, just make, you need to insert 24 more bars here and it needs to sound like Ibert wrote it. That particular thing was definitely a new one. I have done some, as a music director for musical theater, I have occasionally done some, write some underscoring in the style of so-and-so, but that's, it tends to be a much easier vocabulary to capture if you're imitating John Kender or Jerry Herman than if you're imitating
because you're making actionable theater, right?
Absolutely. So sorry, I think I've lost track of the question.
What's your name again? I'm sorry. It is 2:30. No. The long story short is that any particular challenges in putting together
yes. Yes. The specific challenges of this are that. Actually, probably the single biggest thing is getting inside Lars's head.
Well, good luck with that, right?
Yeah. Because he has some very specific things in mind that are different than I've never done a project that was exactly like this, in that you're taking something that exists, opening it up, bringing out specific things that are within it, and doing it so in ways that are not necessarily the standard toolkit for this kind of material.
And Lars, can you talk a little bit about this collaboration with him and like? It is a really great point because it's about collaboration and finding the ways to communicate. Because let's just face it, for all those directors out there, are going to nod their head in agreement and say, or writers saying, that isn't exactly how I saw it. But I think there's a wonderful thing about working with people you love, and or at least their work that you love. You may not love them at times throughout the process, particularly, but you find that they heighten your work and they bring it to a new place you haven't thought before, right, Lars?
Absolutely. Collaboration is definitely the name of the game. And I got this originally from working with Anne Bogart in her Viewpoints training exercises and with City Studios. But it's a much more, so we've got collaboration between David and me, and we've got collaboration on the stage happening when we do the direction. We've had a rehearsal, and this is the beautiful thing about it. So what was great about, to answer your question, when I started working with David, is that he forced me, thank you, David, to think very clearly about what I wanted to do. And while as much as I was looking for a collaborative creativity, I didn't want to be the only one here. I think so much of the story comes from the music, the story that we're telling in each of these Lyricycles. But we have, I would have to describe for him and say, okay, well, and then I wrote a script that was an adaptation, but I had to write the beats in of, okay, there's an intention of the character here that's only subtext because it's not really written into the poetry. The singer doesn't necessarily say it, but it's clearly there, right? So some things are implied that you have to create. So David gave me a very, he kind of like threw me a lifeline on how to do that. Say, okay, be very clear about what it is here. And he responded beautifully with the Don Quixote songs, what we did, because when I heard, he would send me a MIDI file of the completed song, and then I would read it, I would listen to it and read through my script adaptation, and I go, oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, I could see it. I could see directing that on the stage now.
And has the story, the through line of the cycles changed because of that, or is the story still the same?
Well, that is the interesting question. I think the story may change because, like I said, so the collaboration extends to the dancers and the other singers, and they will make choices on stage that I want to be very improvisational in a way.
Here's the Anne Bogart coming back in.
Yes, so that we haven't rehearsed something to death so that it becomes dead before you even get to opening night, but that it is something that's still living and breathing, and that creative choice might come from a reaction that, say, Sarah, our soprano, and Daphne might have to Brett Marco, who is a dancer, something he does that was different than how they rehearsed it. But it turns out to be really amazing.
Yeah. So just for the folks playing along at home, this piece is still very much in progress. And you're finding it as we go here. So we're getting you at a very interesting time as you're figuring it out. Absolutely,
it is definitely in process. It is blooming as we speak. And we started rehearsals, and the process itself is very exciting and wonderful. So
you'll have to keep us. Please let us know, and please, where can people go to find out what are the next steps and what they can do to help out, perhaps?
Well, we certainly need support. Right now, we've got a Facebook page, Lyricycles. That's like it sounds, lyric, Lyricycles, Lyricycles. And there's a nice little video that I made that has sort of a picture of it. We haven't actually produced any work, so there's going to be videos coming up soon of that. A really great development that we've had is that we've been basically given a space at the Wadley Secondary School for the Performing Arts. They have a beautiful dance studio and a very serviceable black box theater where we can perform and rehearse, and it's an artistic home for us. That's down in Harlem, and put it together so that the more ambitious goal is putting this up in a theater, professional theater, which is something that's coming
Well,
come up.
we feel very honored that you gave us a sneak peek with exclusive performances here. Maybe, is it the first ever live performance here of pieces from Lyricycles?
This is.
Well,
It's
so
going-
now you have content to share on your Facebook page.
That's right.
And audio and video and otherwise.
Thank you, Aaron.
And we'll happily to keep on checking in with you and seeing what else we can do to help this project move forward. So you've heard the next steps, folks. Please keep contact with Lyricycles. Go to the Facebook page. I'm sure there'll be a web page in some future iteration. And gentlemen, we've heard both songs already, as you said earlier on. So we are thrilled to have them here, and keep tabs on Lars and David. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. And where can also people find out about your own personal work and other projects?
I have a website, davidwolfsonmusic.net, just the way it sounds. Lots of stuff up there for people to explore if they want.
Wonderful.
Likewise, recitals, concerts, other things.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. But you have a website.
Yes.
Just your full name, right?
Yes.
Great.
Lars Woodul and
Just making sure.
Right.
Fabulous. We'll put that in the description of this episode so you can find these guys as well on their other projects and follow them throughout their journeys, not just their collaboration here. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
I think that about covers it. And if everybody's not already very confused about this, please go to the Lyricycles Facebook page. You can give us some support. Click on the Fractured Atlas link and make a donation if you
Notice that's why I didn't lead with the question, what's the story of Lyricycles? Because they're still putting it together, folks. And they appreciate, this is great feedback for them in this process, if you will, the devised world that we live in. Well, once again, thank you, David.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lars.
Thank you, Aaron.
You betcha. We appreciate them, and you've listened to an exclusive episode here of Live and Local on Inwood Art Works On Air. It's where we meet the musicians, filmmakers, writers, theater makers, and artists of all stripes who make their home here in northern Manhattan. If you have a moment, please show us some love right now and rate this podcast 5 stars in Apple Podcasts. Also, you can go to our own online platforms and follow Inwood Art Works on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Thanks to Holy Trinity Church here in Inwood for hosting us, and HeightSites.com for Uptown promotional support. You can support On Air and all of our programming by making a tax-free donation at inwoodartworks.nyc/donate or via Venmo at Inwood Artworks. Inwood Artworks is proud to be supported in part by public funds from the New York State Council on the Arts and the Department of Cultural Affairs in partnership with City Council. From the top of Manhattan and the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for tuning in. This is Aaron Sims for Inwood Art Works On Air.